Hi everyone, it's Cal. I hope you're doing well. I've been away for quite some time. It's Christmas now. Well, it's December anyways. And I wanted to jump on, and I think I promised you to talk to you about the significance of the Christmas tree. Why is a pine tree chosen to represent Christmas? Well, if you go and Google why a Christmas tree, you can find all sorts of literature that speaks about foliage and tree boughs and nature, but there's more to it than that. And you have to, how do I say this? Unless you've had the experience, it's pretty hard to know. So I'm going to explain to you a little bit, just kind of ad lib today, on why a pine tree is the perfect representation for the winter solstice or Christmas. Let's start with the shape. It is a triangle. Now, some of you have seen some of my videos, or been on the seminar. You know that the triangle it's really a group of alignments, and that come together like this. This is actually a triangle when you look at it from a very specific angle. Now, the creator has entered the body of the woman, so to speak, if we're going to talk in personification, has entered the great receptive body of the woman. So a downward triangle is formed. He's spiraling from the biggest part of his being down to the smallest part of his being, and it forms a ladder. And this ladder is what is causing all the spiraling going on that you can see in the universe. This is, of course, from a spiritual perspective, I'm explaining this, but it can be backed by science as well when we get into the physics of it. So the ladder that's going up is actually moving in this way. It is a triangle this way going up. And it is from the great many to the very few, making it to the top. And it's just a system that completely repeats itself. So it expands and contracts, expands and contracts, expands and contracts. And every time it expands, it does so through these alignments that were created from the get-go, because the universe only knows itself and it is on repeat. And those of us down here, we are moving up in this way until the cosmos has its own kundalini, and everything appears to be annihilated, but the consciousness has grown to a certain expansion, and then the cycle repeats again, and the consciousness that can get in on that ladder does so. Now, this is also happening in your body. And your body is a complete how do I say this? It is a complete image of this process, because again, the universe can only produce itself. And so at the height of this, you could say that on the lower levels, the height is creating the human. And then in the human body, the height is when all your systems come together, and then greater heights until all of a sudden you achieve the Kundalini, which is a complete changeover in your body to a universal body, because you've linked the body and mind to permanently be together by rooting to the planet and using her force to unite your body. She's the one really doing everything, the goddess, the woman. And again, it's not really a woman. It is just a force so utterly refined. It is like a woman. And this is where we're headed. After we become great creators, we will dive back to join her force. And this is happening also in greater and lesser ways, where it's happening to us through death. And then the system is being rebuilt through rebirth. This system is happening on every single level of our being, and the solar being, and the processional cycle, the being of the processional cycle, and the galactic being, and the universal being, this same system. And the thing about the winter solstice is when it's being celebrated in a very earthly way, where everybody knew this system to greater and lesser ways, and the cycle of a year, the annual cycle, crossed over the peak of the height, which you could say moves in the same way. And I know that this might sound lofty, but it actually can be proven. It's just the way we're looking at things. But all the facts can be taken and reassembled in a way so easily and so almost systematically. You just kind of have to know where to tweak it here and there, and how to be looking at it. So the year can be seen as, you know, a pyramid as well, where the cycle begins itself again, right? Begins itself again. So it goes into a sort of collapse to begin again in the new year. And so this is one way. The Christmas tree is a very perfect analogy for the winter solstice. But there are other ways too, many other ways. And one of them is the cone. And I have seen references to the cone as the third eye. So, and I don't really get into that myself, because I'm looking more at systems, because ultimately we can, if we have knowledge of this system, we can apply it to the human body and heal the human body. And that's sort of where I'm headed with all of this. This system here, this tree system, this pyramid of alignments, really reflects on a greater level the alignment of the stars. And all the stars are, the minds of all the stars are unified, and that is what forms the web. And it is the unification on the creating of gods that pulls us into existence. It's the unification of their mind focusing, really, the gods are birthing and raising us. And it's the unification of their minds together that is pulling us into being and creating all the spiraling. And the spiraling is always around the great center. Okay, so wherever you are in the cosmos, it's around the great centers, galaxies, around universal centers, and planetary beings around galactic centers. Okay, so and we can see part of this. We can see that all the suns in the universe, the great creator gods, are circling the galactic center. And on the lesser version, of course, this is the Coriolis effect. The same stuff is happening everywhere. And when you have the Kundalini in a very clear way, if you have lots of power and you fully plug into the Kundalini with all of that power, and you choose death every time it's presented in the Kundalini, because You have to choose death for knowledge. That's the way, because it's death to the ignorance, and it is a rebirth to the greater knowledge. And truly, ignorance is bliss. Truly it is. And life is beautiful with ignorance, and then life becomes very interesting and very low grade after you have enlightenment. But of course, it always depends the angle that you are looking at things. This low grade can be, for me, it was like, whoa, fascinating. If this is happening, then what about this? And what about this? And it is an endless meander, or an endless connection to the mind of things, because really our mind and bodies are being united. The body is really the power. So as you're going into all this mind stuff, you have to keep the body active. So if you are doing this much mind, you got to keep the body this much active, this much force to create the balance, or there will be a crash. And that happened to me numerous times. But in the beginning, I had this much power and this much mental stuff going on. So I had this really sort of low grade job because I was a workout freak. And I had gotten into some mystical stuff. And this is sort of the outfall, getting deeper and deeper into meditation. So with regards to the tree, every part of the tree, and that means the tree in you, the tree in me, the tree in the cosmos, the tree right here, is spiraling in a very specific fashion. So the way this tree is growing is the same way it originally grew up from the root, and it's creating these arms. And the way it's creating these arms is the original way that was created from the root. And the way it's creating these little pine cone thingies, the little things on every little arm, it's happening in the exact same way too. Every part of this tree is embracing the same system of spiraling that germinated it. And our system is too. Every appendage, every follicle of hair, every part of our being is spiraling in the same way. But again, when you look at Darwinism, it doesn't, on the outside, as things come into being and go out of being and come into being and go out of being, come into being, go out of being, it doesn't seem like everything's doing the same thing. It looks like things are very different, but they're actually all doing the same thing. And in some cases, this is all, Darwinism is moving to the height of human. And the height of human is a reflection of the universe. And we were in these other shapes when our consciousness began out from nothingness through all these different Darwinian shapes, all these different animals, reptiles, whatever. Some things go extinct, some things come into being, new shapes come into being, and so on and so forth. But they're all leading to the same destination, which is a human being, which is a mirrored image from the mind of the creators. The creators up there are holding the image of the universe in their mind and calling for creation. And this is what's happening. And it's sort of like got into, it was repeated so many times that it is on now repeat. It is never ending. Before there was no beginning and there was no ending, and still there is no beginning and no ending. So, okay, with regards of the Christmas tree being, the pine tree being a perfect example, there are many other things too. So if we look at the way a tree even grows, all the circles, if we cut the tree and we look at the cross section of the stump, we can see there are so many circles all circling around the center point. And the center point leads back to the root ball. And the root ball is sort of, you can think of the root ball as the cosmos. And out of the cosmos appears to be growing in this one fashion. But it's not just growing in this one way, a tree this way. It's also growing a tree this way, and 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 a tree this way. It is happening on not in a kind of non-linear way, but still it is happening, and it is repeating itself continually in this fashion. And it's so interesting when you think about it, because the center of our being is the goddess force, and around it spirals the creator's energy. And it is the Divine Mother's force. It is her passion that gives us movement. And it is the Father's creation that allows us to have this system. He's the thinker. She's the feeler. He's the one that wants to do these things. She's the one that says yes to it. It works in this way, in so many different ways. It's not just super, she does this and he does that. There are different levels to him and different levels to her. And every time we die, we go back to her. And every time we die in knowledge, we are being rebirthed as well. So, and every time you even blink an eye, it's a death and rebirth to some system that's going on. So this system of dying back and coming into existence again on repeat is just absolutely happening everywhere, as flowers bloom, as they die, or as they open, and as they close, and everything, nothing can escape the system. It's only we are so limited in our thinking because we rest our thinking on what we see rather than what we know. But right now, the coming of the goddess, it's like a wave that is going to be running through us. And she's coming. She's just really slow. That's the thing. The goddess is slow. The masculine force is fast. He's activity, and she is passive. She is a slow unfold. And he's, what you see is what you know. So there are these two different versions, and yet they are complementary opposites. One is not better than the other. Without the Father, we wouldn't be here. And of course, without the Mother, we wouldn't be here. And without the Father and all his decency and mind towards fairness and equality, it takes us to new embers and being, whereas the Mother just says all is magnificent, everybody is great, the killers to the lovers, she doesn't see them any differently, because all is really hers, right? Everything belongs to her. And this is really interesting concept, this one, to get into, because when you think about the law of attraction and you're using that, okay, so yesterday I was thinking to myself, oh, I need this. And it usually is within a day that whatever I kind of need comes to me. Some things are more difficult than others, and that is because the mind does not know. But for the visual things, the mind knows. And so this story is really about the visual things. I needed a thing. And so she led me to the things immediately. I was just driving along and I had this feeling, I think I'm going to go visit this friend. So I haven't seen this friend for months. So I turned the car around and I started driving to see the friend, and oh, there's the thing I need right there. But the thing is, it's in somebody's yard and it belongs to someone. she sees everything as hers regardless. So this is her gift to you. Here, have it. But the father part of you says, no, thou shalt not steal. I will not take from another. And we really want to be balanced in both the male and the female. So, you know, I had to say, thank you. I can't do that. I would prefer if it was something that somebody didn't want, or if it was in a place that I could buy it from or something like that. And then, of course, I got rerouted. You have to be very particular with the law of I was going to say cause and effect. That really kind of is the same thing too. The law of attraction. Okay, so the law of attraction, I don't want to really get into that because that's not really my thing. My thing is really more about the body, its systems, and how the mind affects it, and how the mind can be used to heal it, and some somatic principles that go along with it. But getting back to the tree, the center of the tree, as it grows from the root ball, is called the heartwood. And I thought that was interesting. I thought, well, that's perfect, because that is where the mother stops at the heart. She can't go into the realm of the father. Even though it is her realm, things start to get a little bit unclear. They are the same, but there are a little bit differences. Just like Darwinism, there are a little bit differences that separate things, right? So it depends which realm. And I'm talking in the realm of the human body. Her at heart chakra, she stops. But then here is where the two combine. Okay, so the neck is really the bridge into the other levels, and these would be seen as the levels of the father. So, but without getting into that, I want to get back to the concept of the tree. So the center being the heartwood, and as the tree grows, it grows in two directions, right? So there's the environment is coming out here, and it's shedding, it's birthing new leaves, and it's birthing new flowers, or I shouldn't say flowers, cones. It's birthing cones. And on the inside, though, what happens is, as the tree grows, the system is being fed in two different directions, and the heart expands. And this is the same with us. It is our center. We are working on expanding our center. And as our center expands, when we unite our forces, our power to attract expands, because we are like an antenna, and our force expands as the deepness of our being expands. So as we grow in deep compassion, so too our antenna grows. And one of the things I like to teach is, and this is so simple, and I know I've talked about on some videos, is the ability to create the feeling of deep compassion, deep resonance, which really can be closely affiliated with the feeling of relief. So if you have ever experienced the feeling of relief, you can focus on that, and it will, because this is what I did, it will deepen into compassion. And if you're doing this through meditation, you will get to a point of deep meditation. And if you succeed through that door, you will be presented with a memory that will shatter your being, and therefore it will drop your force and create even more power. And you must remember, everything is an illusion. All this pain and agony that we see on the globe, I know it's crazy to say, and yes, we always want to be doing good and giving service. I mean, that is part of this whole game of life, the giving of service. Right now, we're coming into the truth of things. So this is going to speed up. And it is when the force of the mother runs through everything. And it is like the water that clears the dirt off everything, and everything becomes completely transparent. And all of us are coming onto the web or sharing with people around us the truth of things as we find, we share with each other. And that is creating the whole, all of us on the globe to kind of start uniting in deeper and deeper ways. So getting back to the tree, the star on the top of the tree, some people put a star, some people put an angel. Both are good, because angels, which I never used to believe in until I was visited by one, when I went to that place of pain where my octave dove down, and I mean it dove down deep. I was not prepared for this. Thank God I had no clue, or I don't think I would have done it, because the pain is unbelievable. But if you continue to meditate on love while you're in the pain, that is the agony and the ecstasy together, you will root, and you will be able to unify, because you will root really strongly. And you need as much power from the planet in order to connect to those higher realms. Okay, so yes, the goddess, her force is, and of course it's all part of the system where her force comes back and does this. It's happened since the beginning of this whole thing, which is completely forgotten. And it's the same system, even though we are like, oh my God, this is so new. And there are planets way ahead of us and planets way behind us. And planets exploding, planets coming into being, stars being burst into full orb, and so on and so forth. The star on the top of the tree really happens at all these different levels. And for the human being, it means that you are coming, it is really represents the point of transcendence, which happens on many different levels of your being. When you have a huge amount of knowledge intake and you rise yourself to a new level, that's becoming a star, informing yourself. But there are also different levels to informing yourself, and meditation is the crown of all. That is the one you want to go for. You always have to give service no matter what. So there aren't, in terms of choosing a vocation, in terms of giving your service, we never really know where what one person is at in their spiritual development or another one is at in theirs. Like, we just don't know. We have to focus on ourselves. And the way we focus on ourselves is by following the impulses that we receive from the goddess. Her force flowing through us, we need to follow those impulses. But also, we also need to, well, I feel, and you will feel this, need to adhere to many of the father principles, like I had promised you in a video that I was going to do this video. And so even if I didn't feel like it, I got on to do it. That is the father force. So these two forces are vital. One is not more really important than the other, because it's the two of them that are raising each of us to the height of being a star. And that is when the heart is birthed into this golden orb, this treasure that whose power shines through everything that you do. And it comes with the birthing of great self-esteem. It comes with the birthing of great acts of service. It comes with the birth, or all of these together, or just through meditation. And how do I say this? The star goes on to live in greater and greater ways in the galaxy. It's not that that is one being when you look at the sun. That is an amalgamation of beings together, creating that light, which actually is cool. It's not hot. We feel the light is hot because our systems are burning fuel, because we are becoming. So we are at this low stage on the earthly realm. It's like lighting a fire of fuel, and you see the gold in the flames. We feel the heat of our bodies burning, and which is interesting, because when you burn in the fire, when you burn your body, and I'll tell you, when I was in meditation and the burning came, and suddenly I was in this massive fire, and I looked down and I realized, oh, it's me that's on fire. Like huge flames, huge flickering, aggressive flames. And it was cool. It was cool. And then the breeze came around my forehead, around this part here, the crown, I guess, and the bird came, which is not a bird at all. I'll tell you in one of my seminars what it really is. It's in real layman terms, it is a system. It is the same system, but it is the Father's system, and it is spinning around so fast. Without getting into this, there are a lot of things that I have to say about the dove circling the skull. It's not really a dove. It is a circle of energy, even though it looks like a dove because it is white light. But anyhow, I'm getting off track from the whole Christmas tree analogy. At the top of the tree, you are becoming that star. And you can put an angel at that tree too, because you're going to probably become an angel if you want. Everything's elective. Angels are a resonance of, can be a resonance of great light as well. And some are not, and some are, and some are not. But you can, of course, have an angel at the top of the tree. I prefer star, just because it means all things are working towards that illumination. And now there is so much to be said on the tree and the system and the illumination it brings, that I think I'm going to call it quits, because I've hit about 30 minutes of this for you to process. But a pine tree is the perfect analogy to talk about the winter solstice, which is sort of the annual year of the same thing that is happening to you in greater and lesser ways, and the same thing that is happening to the planet in greater and lesser ways, and the cosmic body of the solar system, and the galactic body, and the processional body, and the galactic body, and the universal body, of course. So one tree, the pine tree, represents the whole system of becoming, but it does represent the system of the Father, created by the Father, backed by the Mother, bringing you to huge levels of awareness. And I do want to always point out that the Father principle, as he matures into his being on greater and lesser ways, falls back in unity with the Mother, and then comes forth from her again, and falls back in unity, and comes forth again, and falls back and comes forth. So it sounds complex, but it is a simplistic system on replay everywhere. And the system has been demystified to greater and lesser degrees by the zodiac. And the zodiac lives inside of each of us. And we are trying to control the forces of the zodiac, the forces of our emotions and the things that make us do what we do, and bring them under control, harness them in. And I'll be speaking more about this in the coming future. It is a very large cosmology to explain one very simple thing. But the simple thing is worth explaining because it can be used to heal your body and heal your mind. And it can be used for also a variety of other things. It can be used on, growing plants. It can be used on creating better environments for your children or your pets. It can be used, once you understand the system, it can be used and tweaked in a variety of ways that can make living more healthy and more pleasurable. And that's the good news about understanding the great system that the Christmas tree represents. And we are all involved in it, whether we remember or not. We are all involved in it. And it's a pretty grand opera to be part of. And you're lucky to be here because not everybody gets in. Imagine this whole universe as a sea and everything screaming for more. And here you are, you're earning, you've achieved more. You're achieving more just in your presence here. So a big pat on the back to you. You don't remember all the lives and all the pain. Pain is the teacher. Pain is what spirals, what rolls the dung that the beetle, the Egyptian beetle, I can't remember the name, is bringing together. It is the thing that sometimes I say things that don't sound like they don't make sense, but they are really the same thing. And they are all parts of what I have been studying or been propelled to go look at to explain something else. And that's the beauty of knowing the system is once you look at one thing, you can look at something that is seemingly unrelated and you can find how it connects, and you don't know how to fix this thing. But by using this system, you can fix that, and vice versa. They are interchangeable when I'm talking about in terms of healing. So I think I got off the track there, and I'm so sorry. I sometimes do tend to kind of get barreling off the track, especially when I'm kind of going ad lib, kind of without any kind of notes and just kind of jumping into it. But I know that some of you have been on my seminar, and so some of you have a really good kind of broad view of what's happening. So understanding the Christmas tree analogy is just sort of more fuel for that fire because you're beginning to sort of see in that way. So yeah, that is the tiny story of the Christmas tree. And there are actually more. I remember one year I was even looking deeper into it. And there is a deeper way of looking at it. I won't get in here today. I just want to stay with sort of what we see and we know and we feel and we can touch. But beyond that, there is the system of spiraling, the sort of sine wave is what's at the core of everything, the rise and fall, the on and off, the start and stop, the rise and the collapse. It's all the same thing in greater and lesser ways. And the tree, which we are all moving through, is that the one thing I wanted to say about the Christmas tree, which was really on the forefront of my mind before I even started this talk, was when you pass over to the other side, the whole system of the cosmos is organized in a hierarchy like the Christmas tree. So you can kind of think of the Christmas tree as a pyramid system. And you can kind of see life as a pyramid system too, you know, um, where, there are a few at the top, and then there's, the middle class, and then there's, the sort of lower class. But all are needed for all to survive. And in the invisible world, this pyramid system also exists. And now remember, I'm just looking at this from a very linear perspective. Okay, but there are lower systems and higher systems and even higher systems and even higher systems. And when you look out to all those stars out there, know that there are so many planets that you can't see. You can't see any of the planets. They're all dark. And everything is in a system of becoming, and the invisible beings themselves exist in this system. And although they will look different on the outside, I can't even begin to tell you how crazy this is, because when I first started meditation, I was being taken through astral travel in the universe, and I was kind of blown away by what was going on out there. It wasn't later till I had the Kundalini that I went, oh, this is what's happening, after I connected to the web and the web of intelligence. And it's taken me 14 years to kind of get a grip on that. In the invisible world, in the universe, everything exists at different levels of being. And of course, everything that you see out there is kind of like, it's like Darwinism in its own way. On the outside, it looks very different from what you expect, but on the inside, the same spiraling and moving to new renditions of being is going on. So that is happening with all the angels and all the beings out there as well. This perfect system, which is also working in this way and coming in on this way. Okay, so it is a hexagram. So, and that hexagram is a two-way ladder. It is a two-way street. One is coming in and one is coming and one is going. And everybody is moving up and down on this ladder. And we are too. We are on the planet. We are in our bodies. We are in the system beyond us. So again, the tree is the perfect way to look at this, because there are different birds for different branches of the tree, and all have different vibratory states of being. It is all about vibration, and everything has different vibratory states of being. So I'm going to leave it there. Let me just say that what the whole end game is the unity of the cosmos. That's the whole end game, okay? And the end game never finishes. So the cosmos is always growing, right? More and more unity, more and more unity, more and more unity. And this time is really exciting because, like I mentioned, the whole wave of the cosmic waters are going to be flowing through us, which means we're more open to knowledge in its variety of ways. The mother's way, which is more sort of esoteric, you can't see, and the father's way, which is more linear. And for me, I do like to explain things in a linear way because it is easy for us to grasp hold of, and sort of the rest, the mother's way, will fill the rest in. When the alignment happens from understanding the linear system, and you're able to utilize those linear systems, the stuff you can't see will just come in and fill your body of being, and it will make perfect sense to the mind, but it will feel right to the body. And that's when you know the harmony is really happening, when you're uh, getting and utilizing the knowledge in the right way. You start to feel that feeling of harmony. But of course, there's something to be said for that, because there isn't always one way. That's my way. Um, I like to build on what I know or what other people know, um, to really create this image in their mind that is dependable. So I've gone off the beaten track here a little bit, and certainly we're getting a little bit far in this video. If you're still with me, woohoo, yay! And other than that, I'm really glad you're here. I hope I was able to give you some background on the the tree, the tree analogy, in the deeper tree analogy. And other than that, I hope to see you soon. And if I don't, I want you to have a wonderful season, no matter where you are and what you're doing. And know that the greater system is at large, is behind you. And all you have to do is tap into it, to go into your center. And that's where it all begins. It begins inward, and then you reach outward. And you all know that. That's why you're here. And I hope to see you soon. So with that, light and love to everyone. And we'll see you next time. Bye for now.